consistent and persistent comedian this evening. You guys already know who I'm talking about. You're laughing.
Yeah.
He was very, and I have the feeling that this is how he operates in all of the things that he does, because when he walked up in this bitch, he handed me a book that he wrote that's published. So I was like, I gotta get my life together. Because he is new to comedy, he has a book, he's in great shape, he has a spouse, and I'm like, God damn, what? He made me just feel inadequate as a human. So hopefully he won't do that well, so I can make him feel inadequate as a comic. Oh, stop being so damn sensitive. You act like Chris. Anyway, no, he has been one of the most respectable, and I have to say this, has nothing to do with stand-up. Anytime a married man tells me he is married, within the first few minutes of his conversation, I am impressed. Because that shit doesn't happen often anymore. And in the very beginning, that is part of who he is. And give it up for that shit, because you ain't gonna see that often. We were talking on Facebook, and you know we all hoes on Facebook. So when I'm like, you're kind of cute. I got a wife, bitch. All right, we're talking the comedy show. Just joking. I never forget. Just jokes. Anyway,
That's Forrest Gump.
when I asked him where he was from, he told me I wouldn't believe him if he told me. So I'm going to let him tell you. I want you to put your hands together and show some love for Mr. Brandon O'Neal. Don't stop clapping.
Hollywood! This is my spot, y'all. Hollywood. Nah, I ain't never even been here before. But I got y'all clapping real soon, so I just want to bet. Gotta buy everybody drinks back here, Kev. Hey. Real talk, I am happy to be here. Shoot, I'm just about happy to be anywhere right now. Believe it or not, for some of y'all that know me, I've spent, real talk, 11 long years of my life incarcerated. And now I'm free, so give it up for that. Not everybody was clapping, but that's understandable because, you know, I think about the perception that people have on prisoners. And it's like, I think about where y'all got it from, and I think about where I got mine from. And my whole entire perception on people locked up came from them Scared Straight programs. Y'all seen those? And it's like, they look like horny pit bull people just barking at everybody. And I'm thinking, when I was an open head when I was young, I got cracked when I was 17. And I'm thinking, man, that's where I'm going. So I got to think about the pit bull people. And just picture me, right? Picture me about 50 pounds lighter, a couple inches shorter, curly hair, I don't even shave yet. I'm like, I can't do it. So my mom, I was in juvenile hall, and my mom, she was coming to see me, and I had a strategy because I was thinking about them people, and I was like, I just can't do it. So I told my mom, I said, look, she gonna remember this too. I said, I got a plan, Mom. And my mom, she a writer, she got my back for whatever. I guess she thinks it's some kind of legal strategy. So I was like, look, Mom, I got a plan. I was like, come here. And we in juvenile hall in the visiting area. So she screwed up. And I'm dead serious. And I'm like, and this is my plan. I say, Mom, I ain't ever gonna wash my booty, Mom. I'm serious. Remember that cheeks stuck together? And it's like, that's the point, right? I was like, I ain't never gonna do it. Look, I don't know if she thought I was a punk or that's just nasty. But she was like, nah. She was like, no, you gonna work out or something, right? And I was like, where's the support? You know, I was really serious. And you know, but what's a trip though? They actually have Scared Straight programs inside a juvenile hall. And it's not where they got like the big adults, but they would actually use young inmates inside a juvenile hall, real talk. So I was thinking, I'm so stressed out, At the time, I'm like a lightweight hater, and I'm thinking if I can make other people's life miserable, I'm going to do it because I'm stressed out, so that might help me out a little bit. And I had this little partner in there named Greg. He's a little Russian dude, 17, but he looked like he was about like 11 years old. Super skinny, always hungry, and just for kicks, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go do the Scare Straight program. Come with me and do the Scare Straight program. So little Greg, he was like, okay, that's my Russian accent. So, no, it's real. So we went and hollered at the counselor that was in charge of the Scare Straight program. This dude named Big Mitch. Now, Big Mitch is Big Mitch. 6'4", 400 pounds, used to play football. And he's super cool, right? So I'm like, Big Mitch, sign me up for the Scare Straight program. So he take us to the room where all the kids are gonna come. Now all these kids, okay, they like 11, 12 years old, they all locked up for shoplifting, running away from home, little stuff like that. So the way it's gonna go, all these kids are gonna come in, and they're gonna line up in front of us, and we're gonna talk to them about our situation and everything, and that's supposed to like scare them straight. So as soon as the kids come in, there's a kid that looked like he's Big Mitch's son, and he's standing in front of my boy Greg, little Greg. So I'm like, dude about 6 feet, 250 or something, but he only like 13 years old. So I'm looking at Greg like, right? And then there's a little girl that's standing in front of me, true story. She's standing in front of me, so I'm thinking I got it easy, but she's standing in front of me. And she looking like she'd been there before. She just looking at me like, what? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna say some crazy stuff to scare the mess out of this girl. And there's a bunch of other kids that was left over, and they stood in front of Big Mitch. So right on cue, everybody got to talking to all their little kids and everything, right? So you hear everything you hear in Scare Straight programs. You hear, you don't want to be up in here, we gangsters, the cells are small, all that kind of stuff. So I look at what Greg gonna do, and Greg tripped me out. He look at his big old kid, and he yells. He goes, ah! Right? And he yell in Russian like that. So, and I'm like, whoa, that's deep. But look, this is what he does next. Little hungry Greg. He say, I'm hungry all the time. And I'm thinking, that is smart. He's trying to tell the dude we ain't got no food in here. He's trying to scare the fat kid, right? So, dude, that's smart, right? So I look at my little girl, and she looking at me like, Well, what Greg say next is just way weird. He's like, you come in here with me and I'll eat your face. And I was like, whoa, right? And then I look over to Big Mitch, and Big Mitch, he's talking to all the kids that was left over. Now, what tripped me out, Big Mitch must have been looking at the same Scare Straight programs that I was looking at. Because he wasn't talking about juvenile hall. He was talking about what happened to him if he go to prison. Big Mitch. So he don't know that things is kind of looking bad for me, and they talking about sending me there forever. So I'm looking at Big Mitch, and he's telling these kids, he's just like, you know what happened to me if I go in prison? And I can't even talk to my little girl because I'm listening to Big Mitch. And Big Mitch said, they would take me, they would have me. And I'm like, no, Mitch, no, Mitch. And he gets real animated. He said, they come behind me, they grab me behind my back, they try to choke me out, what I'm gonna do? And I'm thinking, what I'm gonna do? What I'm gonna do, right? And I'm just like, damn. So I look at the little girl, and I guess my face changed or whatever, because she said, you okay? I'm supposed to be scaring her. She said, you okay? And I'm like, I forgot that I was supposed to scare her. I was like, yeah, I'm okay. And she's like, I think she started to flirt with me, because she told me, she said, you sure is cute. Caught me off guard. But what happened, she was trying to give me a little advice after this. She said, don't you ever wash your booty. Brandon O'Neill, y'all.
Great way to wrap up the show. Yeah, great way. Brandon, let me see here. I loved it, by the way. It was what I was talking about earlier. I just wanted to listen, dude. I mean, like, I mean, I know I'm supposed to be laughing, but I'm like, you know, I'm stopping myself from laughing because I want to hear the next fucking thing you're going to talk about. You know, I'm just very engaging, and that's the thing, man. That's a gift. You're a born storyteller. And I also want to thank you for educating the crowd on the other progression of stand-up comedy. 11 years incarcerated, and then stand-up comedy. So, you know. You can pick whichever path, stripper, comedian, incarcerated comedian, it's up to you. Your Russian accent, you're savvy enough to know if you don't do an accent very well, keep it very short. Nice job. And, but the real deal, man, you have a story to tell. And here's the thing about comedians, we're all jealous of other talented people, right? Like I'm listening to you and I'm loving your story, and I'm like, fuck, why couldn't have I been incarcerated? This guy's so lucky. This is cool ass story, man. But you have a story to tell, and you're telling it, and from my perspective, you're telling it truthfully, and that's what I like about anybody that has anything to sing, write about, paint, do comedy about, is the truth. That's what I vibe on, and that's why I thoroughly loved it, man. Loved it. Thank you.
I also want to tell you, it was fantastic. The dimples, too much. He's married. And he's too light-skinned for me, Ada, but that's okay. We would have a transparent baby, so I can't be Casper. One of my favorite, well, I would say my favorite comedian is, I call him Mr. Bill Cosby. And Mr. Bill Cosby, what I loved about him was his storytelling. And his story, and he still lives today. And anybody seen him on Jimmy Fallon? He was incredible. The storytelling, you took us on a trip, and you know, it could have actually stopped with the, oh, 11 years, what was that? Like, oh, I hope he's all right. You didn't get, you know, there was no reason for us to stop and go like, oh no, like we see that you are triumphant, you tell us the story, we know that you succeeded, we know that you're here. You handed me my book when I walked outside, I love that. You did this with me. I think I'm pregnant, okay. Right? No disrespect to your wife, no disrespect. I don't even have a uterus anymore, but that's okay. Hysterectomy. I can't even get rid of it. You were superb. You took us on, and as I was sitting here, I go like, I would want to see a whole set. I would want to see 30 minutes of you. You left us wanting more.
Well, Kim is ready. First and foremost, man, you have a gift, man. And I think what you have cannot be taught. It's just a natural thing. You made this room very small tonight. And I think, give it up for him, man. It's kind of almost the same thing I was saying to Dana, is the fact that you just told it. I thought you were like one of my homeboys telling a story. Like that's, to take a whole room this big and make it that personal, and that, how you connected with this, I think that ability to tell a story would take you a long way. I will say this, as far as the patience that you had in an audience like this, I'll be curious to see you in a comedy club, to see if you keep that same composure. And I hope that you would, because no matter if the room is rowdy or if the room is supportive like this room is, like you have a gift and you just stand strong in that, because there are going to be storms in comedy where people don't give a fuck about what you have to say, and you just have to own your story. And your story is original, it's honest, it's different. You know, I have family members that have been in jail, friends that have been in jail, and that was just a real honest story. And it was original, and it connected, I think, with everybody in this room, man. So stay strong, man. Don't be afraid of that silence when you're on stage. Just do you. If you're gonna continue doing this, you're gonna continue doing stand-up, do you, man. Swag, like, yeah, nigga. What you think, nigga? Hell yeah, I'm gonna do this shit. Hell yeah. I ain't mad at you. But continue, man. I really appreciate that because that's one of the first things I learned doing stand-up. One of the advice that was given to me was not to be afraid of silence and commit to what you're doing, and that's what you did. No matter if you're in front of friends or if you're performing in front of a rowdy-ass audience, own what you do. You never have to pander because your truth is going to reign supreme no matter what.
Yeah. Give it up for Mr. Brandon O'Neal. All right, so that concludes our portion of our new comedians. We have a special guest in the house. She's going to come out and do a couple of minutes for you. She was just on Southland, and she performs all over the world. Give it up for Miss Jackie Fabulous. Yes.
What's going on? So you want to
She's mad at me. Look, she's walking away from me.